Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm Laura Casillas.
And I'm Ashton Brooks.
Y'all, it's been a very busy day in the studio around the newsroom. We've been preparing for Black History Month. We got a lot of stuff planned for y'all, so you're definitely going to want to stick around for February to see that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So many adventures. I can't wait.
I know. We'll tell y'all more about it at a later date. But right now, we got some things to get into.
Yes.
A man pulled over at gunpoint is taking on several law enforcement agencies in Colorado for what he calls racial profiling. Right now, a lawsuit is pending, and we're getting a look at how it all went down. So this is footage from an Aurora police officer's body cam. In it, the officers are working with Denver police and the Department of Corrections to find a fugitive they know is black. Officers are seen pointing guns at the man's head and body, but what they don't know at this moment is Teddy Pittman is not the fugitive they're looking for. After running his ID and finding no hits, this is what one officer had to say.
We got good ID, so it's not our target.
Okay.
We can check for Palpo, and obviously I don't know if he's got dope in there or whatever, but push it as far as you want or don't want.
Push it as far as you want. So eventually they let him go, but not without giving him a traffic ticket. Look, you can't make this up. After Pittman filed a complaint, the judge dismissed that ticket, saying it was, quote, in the best interest of justice. Pittman has filed a lawsuit against Aurora Police, Denver Police, and the Department of Corrections, alleging excessive force and racial profiling. So right off the bat, I just want to know, do you think it was racial profiling?
Absolutely.
Just at first glance?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think they did things backwards. Shouldn't they have run the ID before pulling out the guns?
I want to know, how are guns drawn before we even identify, like nothing? Like, I don't see what the threat was.
Our blackness is usually a threat to others. So I see that, hear that. We hear these stories all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm personally terrified of the police job. When I get pulled over, it hasn't happened in like over a year, but like terrifying experience. But I always feel like my blackness is a threat to others. Mm-hmm. So I can only, like, I've put myself in his shoes many of times, and I've seen other family members go through that. It's going to continue happening.
Even
unfortunate.
My cousin experienced something like this. Like, some people just went into his house. They had him get on the ground. They had his wife get on the ground. They had nothing happened. Then they're like, oh, my bad. Sorry, misunderstanding. Wrong. Like, they had them like in cuffs.
We saw it with Breonna Taylor.
And this was a trend.
She lost her life.
And did.
Yeah.
And this was a trend, actually, with APD, because this happened, I believe, a few months before George Floyd. Not George Floyd, excuse me. Elijah McClain, who was also killed by police and paramedics. A lot of people were involved. But after they actually did a probe for an investigation into Aurora Police Department, and they found that they did racially profile, and they also used excessive force, excessively.
But who's policing the police? That's what I want to know.
Policing the police. I feel like this trend, it's such a disgusting trend. I can only think about, I can only imagine what he felt like sitting in that moment. Like, what did I do? I was just driving while black. What did I do?
But speaking of that, the way he behaved, it goes to show you that I think you behave differently now because you're so afraid of police.
You don't know what
the wrong move.
If you say the wrong thing, if you make the wrong move. He was just silent. Didn't say much, just laid there minding he was just like, they were trying to talk to him and he wasn't really saying much. But as soon as they ran their ID, he's like, oh, this isn't our guy. He has nothing. We have nothing on him. One of the police officers were like, oh, there's a gun in the front seat in the Crown Royal bag. It turned out to be like some loose change. And then the officer said, I don't know if he has dope in there or what. You can push it as far as you want. Why would you assume he had dope in his car? This man was minding his business, and you say push it as far as you want? Why would you say that?
It's terrifying. I'm glad that he still has his life, but I know that will forever change him.
Yeah. He needs to sue that department. All of them. It's horrible. It's just awful to see that. And again, speaking of assumptions, let's move on to Florida because something similar happened there. But an officer is dead after he suffered a heart attack following the arrest of an 18-year-old undocumented farm worker from Guatemala. That farm worker is now being charged in the officer's death. Virgilio Aguilar Mendez was stopped outside of a hotel last May. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office says body cam footage shows a quote by the book arrest of a suspect whose resistance led to the officer's heart failure. In the video, deputies shoot Aguilar with a taser several times as he repeatedly says that he doesn't speak English. Aguilar Mendez's attorney says his client was a victim of police brutality in an arrest that never should have happened. Aguilar faces charges of aggravated manslaughter of an officer and resisting an officer with violence.
I mean, it's tale as old as time. Like, we sitting here talking about the same thing.
Yeah, and again, like, he too was just minding his own business. He was outside of the hotel eating food. This officer approached him because he looked suspicious. I mean, what about it is suspicious? Aren't you allowed to have a meal outside of your place?
Was doing nothing wrong.
No,
It's like,
no.
I was minding my business. You came and unjustly stopped me, and now I'm being charged for someone's death. If you were minding your business and not racially profiling me, maybe this would not have happened.
Yeah.
Why are we placing blame? I feel like it's misplaced.
Yeah, in the beginning of the video too, he does say, like, even when he's questioning him, he specifically says, I don't speak English. And he continues to question him. And at one point says, do you have any weapons? The kid's like, no. And he's like, well, you know what that means.
I mean, I think this is
it's
just an example of like a disregard for humanity. And we see that all the time in policing, especially when it comes to Black and brown folks. I think in this case, it's also very extreme in a different manner that we maybe haven't seen, because I believe he was charged with the manslaughter because the officer later died because he had a heart attack.
Outrageous.
So it makes me think about like all the trauma that you've inflicted, that the policing has inflicted on Black and brown communities. Shouldn't they be charged for that if they charging this young man with manslaughter?
And they were saying violently resisting arrest or something. I mean, I'd be scared too. Like, you don't know how to react in those situations. So yeah, he might have been scared trying to get away. Like,
It's terrifying.
I'm not your guy. I don't know what's going on. I was eating a sandwich, minding my business on my phone.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, like, you can't
Especially when there's a language barrier.
when there's a language barrier, especially. So he could potentially spend his life in prison for just being outside
But
eating a sandwich.
that's also a dangerous precedent if he does get convicted or, sentenced for that. I mean, any of us then can actually go to jail if a police officer dies, interacting with us or, after an interaction with police.
Unfortunately, I feel like we're going to be talking about this a lot more.
Yeah, they did sign a petition, so hopefully this, does encourage some change
Yeah.
in his release.
I hope so. So students and alumni at the HBCU Lincoln University in Missouri are calling for the removal of the university president, John Mosley, after a senior administrator died by suicide. Dr. Antoinette Candia Bailey, the former president of Student Affairs, took her own life on January 8th after allegations of bullying. Candia Bailey was fired on January 3rd and told family during the holidays that her relationship with the president had deteriorated and that she didn't feel supported in her role at the university. In an email that was sent to the board the day she died, Dr. Candia Bailey wrote that she had been intentionally harassed and bullied by Mosley and described being set up for failure after requesting resources for her struggle with depression and anxiety. There's an irony to it, because we just talked about this last week with Claudine Gay and her stepping into the role of president at Harvard, and then all the controversy that surrounded her, and then her dismissal. And I think we talked about also like the pressure that she must have felt and still be under in that role and making those missteps and those mistakes when she was speaking to Congress. But the mental impact on Black people, Black women specifically, and unfortunately in this case, this woman lost her life because she was dealing with an organization that didn't prioritize her mental health, which is so detrimental.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the Claudine Gay.
I know, and we've always talked about looking for help if something is going on at work, because if you're not doing well at work, it's going to show in your work, but not having that support from like the ones that are supposed to be directing and leading a school. I mean, a lot of these schools claim that they want to be, diverse and it's a safe place for people to have all these conversations and, pride themselves about being, just diverse.
This is an HBCU specifically, so it already
that's
should
even more
be
concerning.
Right, and it's headed by actually the President Mosley is a white man. So for me, that's already kind of like, oh, we have a white man leading a historically Black institution, which already tells me something is a little bit off.
And just culturally, like, it's not common to see Black people even talk about mental health, let alone bring it up to their employer. So just in that situation alone, it's like, okay, well, this must have been serious if she's talking about this and willing to bring it to her employer and communicate that.
Yeah.
So it's really sad to see that they failed her in that way. And I'm kind of curious if they could be liable for that in any kind of way.
Well, she sent letters the day that she passed away.
Okay.
And some of those were to the board. And I think even previously she had sent letters to the board asking for help. And the president responded saying, this is not a board matter. The board doesn't handle personnel issues. So right then and there, she's asking for help and she's being shut down.
Yeah, just
so,
on a human level. Like, do you even
Right.
care about your employee? Like, as a person, it's like, okay, well, if the board doesn't handle it, can you direct me to someone who does? Reach out. Want a cup of coffee? Like something. Like
Right.
something. I feel like it just should have been handled with a little more grace.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Who was it? Malcolm X that said the most disrespected person in America is the black
as a
woman?
black woman.
Yeah, already they have so many little people working in faculty, so I'm sure this isn't going to help.
Right.
That matter. And women are making history on the St. Paul, Minnesota City Council after the newest leaders took the oath of office last week. There is now an all-female panel for the first time in the city's 170-year history. Together, they represent the youngest and most diverse governing body to ever take office in that town that some have nicknamed St. Paula in honor of their electoral feat. And get this, all 7 women are younger than 40, and 6 of them identify as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
Oh, I love that.
It's so
I
cool
really
to
love
see
Yeah.
that.
It's very iconic.
Yeah, but all these iconic moments don't come with a little bit of backlash.
Yes, okay, I'll play devil's advocate. This does not reflect my own viewpoints. I'll say that first, so don't come at me. However, I can quickly see somebody saying, like, turning it back, like, what happened to diversity? What happened to having people of different ages and different genders being represented? Because we've had all-male councils forever. That's
Right.
been the standard. But do you think that they're going to start seeing a little pushback? Like, why can't we have any male representation?
I think that is diversity to see an all-female panel. Like, we haven't seen that. So that in itself is diversity historically from what we've seen with these all-men-led organizations and political groups and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's diversity, and I think it's a step forward, definitely.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they're not taking into consideration that it's their merit and people selected them to be there. They deserve to
Right.
be there. And one of the gals that was selected, she did mention, like, for 107 years, it's never been an issue that men have run,
Right.
city council. And now all of a sudden they have like a problem with representation because it's all women.
I think they see it as a threat.
Selective
Yeah.
outrage. We've
Selective
heard about it.
outrage.
We're
There it
familiar with it. But yeah, like, give them a chance. Let them see what they do. I'm sure they'll shake some things up. But I love it. And especially that all of them are under 40. Do you think that'll work in their favor?
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably concerned with, like, issues of like childcare. A lot of these women probably understand what it's like, and
Right.
it's really expensive. And I don't know that a man would know, a little bit more of that than a woman would.
We need more young blood.
Yes, for sure.
I think so too, to bring, like, because they're from a different generation, they have different ideals and whatnot. I really feel like they have fresh, I don't know, I just feel like they've lived a whole different life from these older
Right.
people, so therefore they have
These
newer
older
ideals.
politicians and people and boards, they scare me.
They have different top
'Cause
priorities,
they not too far removed from, like, some racial ideologies that impact people of our color. So yes,
Yeah, I'd love to see how that turns out.
we'll be watching.
Anyway, turning now to one of my faves. He's back. Well, what's a Lil Nas X music drop without a whole lot of controversy? The rapper dropped his first solo track in over 2 years last week, and it definitely got people talking. The new song is called Jay Christ, and the music video is all over the place. It includes celebrity lookalikes walking up to the gates of heaven, Nas winning a one-on-one basketball game against the devil and celebrating with a cheer routine. He even sailed Noah's Ark for a bit. Naturally, the biblical imagery didn't bode well with Christians. This was his message. This is the message the rapper had for his Christian fans.
And I know, like, given my history with, the Call Me By Your Name video, anything that I do related to religion can be seen as, like, mockery. That just was not the case with this. I know, like, I messed up, like, really bad this time. And I can act unbothered all I want, but it's definitely, like, taking a mental toll on me. I thought me clearly not being on the side of the devil in that video was was like, there was an understanding there that I'm not, like, trying to diss Christianity.
It's hard for me to take him seriously with that bonnet on, but
Not the bottom. You gotta stay moisturized, anti-frizz, if y'all didn't know.
correct. I don't know. He's young. He's making a lot of mistakes. I think I'll always support him in the aspect of seeing Black queer representation.
Same.
But I don't think he has a lot of musical talent.
Ooh, and that's the hot take. I am not the biggest fan of his music. I love some of the singles, but I just enjoy him as a person. I feel like he's so refreshing. He does shake things up. I do feel like the doing things just to get people riled up is getting a little bit old.
A little immaturity.
Like he's the biggest troll. Like he's from a whole different generation. He's from the internet generation, so he knows just how to get y'all riled up. It worked. But I think people are doing a lot. People have done this for years.
We see mediocrity in other groups of people. So like I don't mind seeing someone, the first of someone like this who represents something, be mediocre. Like that's, I guess
I'm not very religious myself, but I do have sometimes a problem seeing some of these things expressed in videos and TikTok videos and trends and all. But again, Madonna did it before in like a prayer. She was burning crosses and everything there, and she was just expressing her art. That's what people, you know, let her be, and she's doing just fine. So if that's his way of expressing, he should be, you know, held at the same standard.
Right.
Just as Madonna, because if she's okay.
And just to add a little context, in the Call Me By Your Name video, this is like, it does kind of relate back to one of his first videos for Call Me By Your Name, and like he was down there with the devil and things. And that was just a response to all the backlash he got after he came out as gay. So everybody was telling him, oh, you should go to hell, blah, blah, blah. So that's what he did. It was kind of like a, you know, comeback, like, okay, that's what I did. Like, that's not necessarily his beliefs, but it was just like a, you know, like a, whatever, haters, I'm gonna do my thing, whatever. I'm gonna do what you want me to do. Then he did it, now everyone's mad. So I think we're being a little bit too hard on him.
Yeah.
I think give people grace, and you don't know what he's going through. You don't know his life. You don't know his beliefs.
He's learning. I think he'll look back, like he's, in his early 20s, so I think he'll look back on all this and hopefully grow, so.
Well, it's getting people talking, so it's doing what he wanted.
Well, let's hop into some good news then. A new musical documentary on the life and career of singer Luther Vandross is finally seeing the light of day. The late singer, who passed away nearly 20 years ago, was often regarded as an elusive public figure. But this new film is set to address his personal struggles with his sexuality and his weight. Luther, Never Too Much, premieres at Sundance Film Festival January 21st.
And another woman who is making history is JetBlue's Joanna Garatti. She has become the first woman to lead a major U.S. airline. JetBlue announced that CEO Robin Hayes will leave his position next month and will be replaced by Garatti, who says she is honored and excited to serve as JetBlue's next CEO.
And there were a lot of big wins at this year's Emmys, but one really struck a chord for me. That was Niecy Nash-Betts' win for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. This was her first Emmy win after 5 prior nominations and a decades-long career. She's dedicated the honor to Black and brown women everywhere, who she says often goes unheard but overpoliced. This was such a heartwarming moment. She really had everybody cheering for her. Like, I love Niecy Nash. I will go to bat for you every single time, Niecy. I love you.
I was walking around the house yesterday saying, "Thank you, Ashton." Because in her speech,
I'd like to thank myself.
In her speech, she was saying like she thanks herself for like all her sacrifices. So I was walking around the house yesterday saying, "Thank you, Ashton. Thank you for your sacrifice."
You have to thank yourself. You have to remember, it's like, yes, okay, we can thank everybody else, but like, you know, like, I need to thank myself. So show yourself a little bit of love, because you work a lot. You work a lot to get through. So the fact that I'm here today, I gotta thank myself. Okay.
And more positive talk.
Right.
More positive talk. Also, that Luther biopic, I'm ready for. Was it a documentary or?
It's going to be a musical documentary. Yes.
Oh, I'm ready. I was listening to Dance with My Father on repeat.
Classic.
My father is still here with us. We love him. But like since a kid, that's always been my favorite.
Yeah.
I wonder if he felt some type of way about that. But if you haven't heard it, listen to Dance with My Father. Luther Vandross is such a good time.
Check it out.
Actually, go do it right now, because we're done. Thank you so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.